Everybody, I'm going to show you a deep dive into interfaces in PatchWorld. So there's a huge variety of ways you can control different values and patches within PatchWorld, but also in any other software through OSC or MIDI, through Wi-Fi. You can do it from the standalone headset, but also from the desktop version. And let's get started. So there's three general types of ways you can control different values: basic, advanced, and super advanced. So let's start with the basics. These are kind of custom native interfaces that we have in PatchWorld that are super customizable and very, very powerful. Starting from just a generic number that you can tweak by clicking trigger and change whatever number you want. You can also connect a button to it and it will output whatever number you give it. It will change when you change the number. It will output the number and trigger it. You can also go to the inspector and decide that the input behavior will be not trigger but set and trigger, so that it will set first the number that it receives and then output it. You can set the minimum and maximum values. You can decide if to use decimals or not, and that's quite nice. Then you have a simple button. Also this one you can tweak. You can change the color, you can change the size, you can change the output value, and is it triggering on hit or also on click or both? Click or hit. You can set it up. We have dials, knobs. Also, these are very customizable. You can decide on this one, for example. Let me scale it up for a second. If it fills from the left or from the middle, so you can create parameters like this. You can set the color of the indicator or of the background, and you can set the minimum and maximum values. Also an exponential. So for example, if it's between 0 and 1, I can set an exponential and I can decide the midpoint so that I have really fine-grained control of how this thing works. Same with the slider. So this slider works on touch by default, but you can design it so it only changes when you click trigger. You can scale it up, obviously. Minimum and maximum, also exponential point. And you can also decide, instead of a jump behavior, you can have it set to drag, which means that if I'm here and I click, I still have to drag. Works basically like this. It's another style of sliders. We also have this big 3D looking slider, but you can make these any size you want and obviously duplicate them and set up your controller as you want it. We have different types of toggles. You can also set this to be on touch, on trigger, and momentary if you want it. So it only registers a 1 when you're inside and a 0 when you take your controller out. We have selectors. This one you can set how many steps it has, and it will send out the current step that it's on. This one is a bit more advanced. You can actually set up different sections. In each section you can put a label and a value that it outputs. So you can put whatever text and numbers you want for each of these sections. Then you have something fun like this. It's just like a peppermill action. You have to twist it and it goes up in numbers. So these are all basic interfaces. Now let's go a bit more advanced, more controller types. So the easiest one here is XYZ 3D slider, basically, that outputs X, Y, and Z coordinates between 0 and 1. Then we have these, which are very powerful. This is an interaction box, and this is an interaction cylinder. What these do is they output X, Y, Z coordinates, but within sections. So, for example, I can say that there are different number of segments. For example, I can say that X segment, let's just start with everything set to 1. In this case, all of these will just send 0 to 1 in all dimensions. But if I set the Y to 2, then when I check Y, you can see that it goes from 0 to 1, and then 1 to 2, and like this, it's you can do a lot of control. And if you put a floor on the other side of these, then you can quantize these regions. Also, it has a left and right controller, so you can have the different controllers activate different things. And it has presence, which is 1 when you are inside, 0 when it's out, and also trigger. So if you click the trigger while inside, it will give you a 1. This also has haptic feedback that you can set to activate when you are inside. You will feel your controller vibrating, and you can put here whatever you want, audio information or just a ramp, so that when you trigger notes, for example, you feel it in your controller. This one is pretty much the same, except instead of a XYZ, it gives you a height, radius, and angle. So if I add sections here, you can see that I have these different segments, and it works the same as this, just with angular. And also it has a roll feature that you can read the roll position of your controller. Quite nice. Then we have kind of unique interfaces like this blob. You just pull it and you get the how far you pull it and the angle. Yep. And rotation. This is similar, but this is quite a complex interface that you can customize really a lot. And you can also create loops inside. So you just hover on these different outputs and inputs, and you can see what each one does. So you can get the touch, you can get the pull, you can get the X and Y, and you can even loop these motions. So there's a looper built in here that you can loop these different ones, and you can add more nodes to this. You can have many of them to either retain position or loop given a certain clock. You can also mute them if the loop is active. Yeah. There's a canvas, which is basically an XY screen that uses the laser pointer. So it gives you the X and Y, but also detects when you're hovering and when you're clicking. It's very useful if you want interfaces to be far away. And you can also set the distance limit. So if you're not close to it, it won't work, only when you get close to it. There is these two, which give you direct access to your actual controller. This one, it just gives you all the button information. So if I click the A button, you see it triggers here. The joystick button, the distance of each controller from the head. You see the numbers change here. And the distance between the controllers. Now this is similar, but it works in a different way. This is a device handle. If I go and I choose, let's say, just a shape, I can select both of these and now group them, and now they're tied together. And when it's grouped inside of a device or a group, then it basically takes over my controller, and now all of my actions will be outputted from this. And I can open the group and look inside. I can also add the X, AX, BY, joystick, and so on to add more features here. So there you go. So it's similar to this, but this is specific. So if I don't grab it first, it's not gonna work. So you can actually create handheld interfaces that when you grab them, they do a specific thing. This is more global. Although there's a way to use this in more advanced scenarios. For example, you can use output this only when you get closer to it. So there's different ways to use it. There's a microphone that outputs the note and amplitude of the headset microphone, and you can use it to control MIDI or whatever you want. This is just a fun little lightsaber that outputs the speed, movement, and other things here. You can play music with a virtual lightsaber. Now we go to the advanced section. Here you can use a lot more advanced ways to control things. For example, if I take this sphere, I'll take another one. I can use the get distance block, connect the two, and now it will output the distance between these two blocks. So you can create all sorts of things like measuring the distance. Here you can measure the relative position. So it will output the distance, but only on the Y, X, or Z axis. You have get rotation. So you can take, let's say this. So I can take this as an origin and get another one as a target. And when I rotate this, oh, it's not connected. Here you go. When I rotate this, it will check the rotation of this and give you a comparison of what is the rotation angle on X, Y, and Z. Oof, you can also check the look, the get position. When there was this is, oh yeah, get position, and this is a get look. So you can also check if one block is looking at another block and get the angle from that. You can, this one is a speedometer, so you can actually take this and make a handheld instrument that when you shake it, the speed will control whatever you want. For example, I have something already made here, like this little instrument. Now, all of these movement ones. Oh, one last thing. There's a raycast, so you can connect this to different blocks by grouping them, for example, and you can measure distance like this. You aim it in different things. It can tell you what you're aiming it on to trigger different stuff, or you can tell you the distance. Can do a lot of things. This one turns any, it's called make hittable, and it turns any mesh, block, anything into a pad that outputs the hit velocity. There's actually also a basic block that's a interface pad that I didn't show, actually, that gives you X, Y, and velocity. So it tells you the speed in which you hit it. You probably have to normalize it if you wanted to go between 0 and 1, or 0 to 127, do whatever way you want to control your devices. Now, about all these motion ones that measure distance, relative position, look at, they can get even crazier if you use a field block, and you also need a set physical, make physical. So I can take a sphere, let's change its color a bit, okay, and I can turn it into a physical object. Now, physics only works in play mode, so you have to click this button and go to play. And now, if I throw it inside this box, it's gonna go there. So you can have this as a local box where I reset the position and throw it back here. You can use it as a local area where there's gravity force that you can tweak and move that happen only within this area. You can set the direction to be outward or spiraling. You can set the force, and you can also go to negatives. So for example, I can set it to outward and have a negative force, and now when I put it in, it's gonna go to the center. But you can also set that it's global, not only inside this box. So wherever I am, I can you see you already have some orbiting orbs going on here. Now let's show some examples of how this is used inside PatchWorld. But as I said before, all of these interfaces can be sent through OSC or MIDI over Wi-Fi or locally on your computer to Max, MSP, Ableton Live, Pure Data. Anything that receives OSC or MIDI can be used. Any DAW, you can set these parameters. This is using the interaction box I showed you before. If you want to see how these patches are built, you just basically click this button and open it up, the device, and you can see how it's built inside. You can see the patching. And like this, you can learn a lot, but also just go to the Discord community and to get started, to learn from other patchers. Having a lot of fun there. So yeah, whether you're using PatchWorld standalone, everything within the device, or you're connecting it to your already existing setup, there's quite a lot of crazy things you can do here. That's it for now. See you later.